The Great Depression, the immigrants poured in. Christos Spanos came to the United States from Cyprus in 1930 at the age 19. The United States was then in the depths of hard times. Spanos was lucky even to find a job. During the Great Depression, 1/4 of the working population was unemployed. People lost their homes, their farms, and their businesses. The Depression, which began with the stock market crash of 1929, ended only after the United States entered into World War II. It was a time of trial at home and abroad. During the Great Depression, our country struggled with unemployment and poverty. In 1929, the Johnson-Reed Act went into effect, severely limiting new immigration. In the early 1930s, for the first time ever, more immigrants were leaving the United States than arriving. In 1931, immigration fell between 100,000 for the first time since the Civil War. Nearly 2/3 of the allowed quota went unfulfilled. In 1933, Franklin D. Roosevelt was elected president, and he proposed social programs called the New Deal. They were designed to stimulate the economy and provide jobs for the unemployed. Some New Deal programs were available only to citizens of the United States. With jobs scarce, many employers felt that they should favor American citizens over non-citizens, and as a result, many immigrants became naturalized citizens. The Roosevelt administration looked kindly on unionization as well, so for the first time, the federal government recognized the right of workers to organize. Immigrants in the labor movement felt that they were more fully accepted in American life. In the newly formed Congress of Industrial Organizations, or CIO, immigrants played important roles. Now, do you want to know who was coming into the United States? 530,000 immigrants poured in from 1931 to 1940. 15,000 from Germany came in, 108,000 from Canada, and 68,000 from Italy. From 1941 to 1950, 1 million immigrants came to the U.S. 227,000 from Germany, 172,000 from Canada, 140,000 from the United Kingdom. And from 1951 to 1960, over 2 million immigrants came in. 480,000 from Germany, 378,000 from Canada, 300,000 from Mexico, 203,000 from the United Kingdom, all came into the United States during that time. During the Depression, labor unions became very powerful. Poles led the unionization of meatpackers in Chicago, but hard times encouraged people to cooperate and support one another. Both Filipinos and Mexicans were among the largest group of agricultural workers in the West, but they had not been able to work together to demand higher wages and better working conditions. In 1936, a farm worker group called the Filipino Labor Union organized a strike. Mexican laborers joined the fight. The strikers received a charter from the American Federation of Labor, which had previously turned back agricultural workers. Such activities angered some whites who were in favor of excluding all non-white immigrants. They pressured Congress to pass the Tydings-McDuffie Act of 1934, which promised independence to the Philippines by 1946. Filipinos were classified as aliens, and they were classified as non-whites. They were barred from being citizens. Only 50 Filipinos a year were permitted to immigrate to the mainland United States. Congress even offered to pay passage back to the Philippines for those willing to return. Of course, fewer than 5% took up that offer. Mexicans were also victims of anti-immigrant hysteria. The government responded to this prejudice with massive deportations. During the 1930s, about 500,000 Mexicans were forcibly deported. And most of these Mexicans were already American citizens. Now remember the statistics I told you about a moment ago about who came into the USA. The Canadians, the Germans, the Italians, they were not harassed as the Hispanics were. You see, discrimination against the Hispanics is not new in the U.S., and Congress went along with it. Just as blacks are targeted and still face prejudice hysteria, so do Latinos. This has been the most abhorrent thing that America has ever done. And this has been the modus operandi of America ever since the white man stole and took the country from the indigenous Native America. The masses can march, demonstrate, and protest, but the prejudice and supremacist mindset is an intrinsic part of this country. It's sad but true. And this is only one of many examples of the hate placed on people of color in this country called United States of America. Like, subscribe, think for yourself. This has been a Marologic channel.